You can see it right here. We have two new polls, Quinnipiac University, AP-NORC. I got the prior poll for you on the screen. I got the now. This is the net approval rating. You can see this in Quinnipiac, -12 to -16. How about AP-NORC? -16 to -21. Awful, awful, awful for both of these pollsters. Where we are right now, both Quinnipiac and AP-NORC, the worst for Donald Trump in this term so far. He is very much way underwater.
I like to think that somewhere right now, Harry Enten is standing at that board. But anyway, he's giving us a little update there on the polling. And I have been fascinated this entire term with what people are thinking about what's going on, not only because I look exactly like the sort of guy who'd be really into public opinion polls, but also because I want to know, like, are people sleeping? Are people paying attention? What lessons are they learning from what's going on? Are they in fact, maybe I'm in a bubble, I live in LA, maybe people are actually loving this stuff, and yet we keep checking in and it keeps getting worse for him. And not just the top line numbers, which you saw there, but on individual policies. So this is Quinnipiac, it's not the only poll, but this is what we have right now, the most recent. On immigration, he's 11 points underwater. On deportations, he's 16% underwater. The economy, 16. On trade, that's 19, I believe. On how he's dealing with universities, even worse. The Israel-Hamas conflict, only 35% approve of what he's doing there. 1 point less on Russia, Ukraine, and that's not only like a listing of the most important issues, other than, well, they got the economy there, I suppose. I mean, they don't have taxes or public health or whatever, but that's a lot of big ticket stuff. The stuff he's been focusing on trade and tariffs and these conflicts that he said, jokingly, we find out later, that he would cure on day one. And on immigration, which is like his best issue, we keep being told, and it doesn't seem to be going great for him. And I will remind everyone, we're still in early days. This started at 999. We're only like 140 shows into this administration. He still has years to go, and people don't really seem to be buying it. But Alex, do you have a different read? And if it is as bad as it seems, how does he turn it around?
Well, but what you're not showing is the Democratic Party polling, which is also really,
I don't want to see it
shitty.
myself.
I mean, it's so in a lot of ways, their polling is worse, and their brand is worse. So he can be where he's at, unless and until the other party starts to go in the other direction, and until there's a leader of the Democratic Party who can take these issues to him and start to galvanize people behind a different message, and that hasn't happened. Yes, he's negative, but if the other side is more negative than him, it still gives him room to operate.
Yeah, well, why don't we go to what we do have on the Democratic Party? So what do Americans think about their party? This is graphic 4, we're gonna jump ahead to this. So the Democrats and the Republicans almost equally believe that their party is honest in general, which just, I guess it's the partisans, and we are a very tribal people or whatever, but I don't know. So, sorry, this first one is overall what the American people think. Oh, the next one is gonna be the people in a party on their own party. But like, yeah, I guess if I were in charge of the Democratic Party, it's probably not a good thing that people think that your party is only as honest as the Republican Party, considering Donald Trump's tenuous relationship with the truth his entire life. I mean, and George Santos, and I mean, the list goes on and on. But that said, people think they're basically roughly as honest as each other. And so I guess that gets to your point. Donald Trump not only has to be unliked for the Democrats to do well, but the Democrats need to get out there and give people something to vote for. I mean, I think we were sort of alluding to that when we said it was surprising that Gavin Newsom was getting more forceful and getting out there and opposing it. That's something. People want to see a vigorous defense at the very least. But I think they also want to see policy. I mean, you talked about like healthcare being a voting issue. Like, people want ideas, and I hope that the Democrats start to coalesce around a few of them. But any other thoughts about this polling before we close things out?
Yeah, I mean, I do think ideas are important, but I think honestly, in our social media environment, the way people consume information right now, vibes are important too. And the idea of perceived strength versus weakness of somebody who is willing to be a fighter, who is willing to give the middle finger to the other side, who is willing to say, we're not going to take it anymore, and be perceived as alpha, whether that being a man or a woman, I think is something that the base is hungry for. And
you're talking about
every
Chuck
time,
Schumer, I assume.
Yeah, exactly. But look at it. Look at every time that Democrats have really tried to fight, whether it be Bernie and AOC with their rallies, whether it be Booker standing up for 25 hours and wearing a diaper, whether it be Gavin Newsom, with his speech about democracy and suing Donald Trump. Democrats rally in huge ways for that. They're desperate for a fighter, even if a lot of this stuff is symbolic. They want somebody symbolically to fight. And the people that look at Newsom, because you've seen both examples just with him. When he attempted to let's hang out with Charlie Kirk and learn from him, the base revolted. But when he said, let's sue Donald Trump into oblivion and take him down and make fun of his age and make fun of him falling down, his fundraising went through the roof. So I think that's where the party is right now. And for presidential candidates, whoever that is, and also congressional candidates, I think they need to be aware of where the base is and speak to them, and be perceived as somebody who is strong, because I think Democrats are very frustrated with a party that they feel like has been weak for way too long.
Yeah, I think, and you're right, even on like small versions of that, like what Senator Padilla did.
Right.
Like people rallied around him, and all he was doing was trying to ask a question, but they want people to be doing something. And so I agree with you there.